know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together this Christmas. Fireside blazing bright, we caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas, baby, for you and me. Ooh. Oh. Oh, baby. All right. Here we go, here we go. Hang on the mistletoe. I'm gonna get to know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together.
All right, all right. Go ahead, Chloe.
I love it. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
We wanted to introduce this show with the Christmas spirit. That was a classic song by the great Donny Hathaway. But as you all know, or if you don't know, my name is Chloe Corbett, aka the Duchess of Justice. And with me I have
Attorney Augustus Corbett, a.k.a. the Minister of Justice.
We are the Defiant Lawyers. We provide legal analysis of trending politics, policies, personalities, and pop culture to empower you to defy this unjust legal system. Before we get into today's topic, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button for us? Show us some love in the holiday spirit, in the Christmas spirit. Share this video with your family and friends so that this information can go out to them. And go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at The Defiant Lawyers. We provide all types of interesting topics and videos. With that, Dad, Merry Christmas, and how's it going?
It is going very, 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 very well, Chloe. Merry Christmas to you. And you just bright up this show. You just bright it up. Your smile, your energy, your spirit, your beauty, your effervescence, your personality. So listen, I'm always blessed to be on the air with you, my daughter, firstborn child. And yes, thank God. And let me give God all praises and honor for this Christmas.
Yes.
We're here.
Yes.
We are healthy. We are blessed. There's a lot going on in the world, but you know, God is still on the throne. So this Christmas is really good. And so my question to you is, how is Christmas for you?
Christmas is amazing. Christmas is one of the favorite times of the year for me. Get to celebrate Christ, celebrate family. It just always puts me in a good mood, always puts me in a festive mood. I know that we're going into a new year. I always look forward to going into it. And even with all of the craziness that's going around, just to know that we made it through 2021, through a pandemic, through racial unrest, through all types of things that are going on in this country, in this world. But to know that we get to celebrate love and Christ and go into 2022, I'm happy. I am very, very happy. But unfortunately, for a lot of families, Christmas is not always a happy time. And it's not always a happy time when a family is going through a custody battle in regards to children. So we wanted to get up here today and really discuss holiday custody issues, because the holidays usually bring up a lot of sometimes acrimony with parents in regards to who would have possession of their children if the parents are not together. So we wanted to talk about that today. And here in Texas, we actually call custody something else. It starts with a
kinda
C,
weird.
but we call it conservatorship.
Exactly.
Yes, it's different. It's different. So we call it conservatorship, and then we call visitation what most people know to be visitation. We call possession and access to the child. So in a lot of other states, one parent would have custody of the child, the other parent would have standard visitation. Here we have standard possession and access, or a standard possession order. And in our code, in the Texas Family Code, it really details out what the standard possession is for standard possession and access is for the non-custodial parent, or the parent who the child does not primarily live with. And because Christmas is such a huge holiday here in the States, and it's such a huge, holiday for families to get around, this tends to be the time where the most arguments come in regards to who is going to have possession of the children. So the first topic that we wanted to talk about today is whether or not the Christmas possession week or possession time supersedes a parent's weekend possession time. Here in Texas, under a standard possession order, the non-custodial parent, the parent who's not the primary parent, typically gets the first, third, and fifth weekends of the month to the child, and they get that every month, unless it's in the summer, it's split in half, or various holidays. But
could you tell
weekend?
Could you tell the audience what you mean by non-custodial parent?
Yes. So a non-custodial parent is a parent who does not have the exclusive right to determine where the child lives. So here in Texas, even if there's joint custody between the parents or joint conservatorship, one parent will have the exclusive right to designate who the child lives with. And obviously, typically, they choose their child to live with them. So they are known as the primary and or custodial parent. And the other parent who gets possession and access to the child, they are called the non-custodial parent.
The other parent so in other words, to simplify it, the non-custodial parent is the parent that the child does not live with.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we need to simplify.
And they typically get access to the child. Thank you. They typically get access to the child the first, third, and fifth weekends of the month.
Okay.
But what happens if it is the third weekend of the month, but under the code, there is Christmas time that the other parent is entitled to? Which one supersedes each other?
And
Texas,
that's going on right now in Texas. I mean that
right now.
That's why
yes.
we're
yes.
doing this show, because we got multiple questions about that this week. Okay, multiple issues this week. And before you go on, I just want to say that put the children first during Christmas. Okay, with so many times these fights, these custody fights, and the parents are rah 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 rah, and oftentimes they got us lawyers, rah 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 with each other, and the kid is in the middle, oftentimes being overlooked, right? So if there's ever a time to focus on the child, it's Christmas. So I just wanted to throw that in as you were going through the legal stuff. I just want to set the stage for what this is all about. We're trying to, we want to see parents put kids first, because custody issues are all about what is in the best interest of the child, always, here in Texas. All right, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, no, put your child first, because
both
going
parties.
through a custody battle, it's both parties, mom and dad. Going through a custody battle is stressful and tedious, and it causes all types of emotions for the adults. Think about the children who are going between both parents, who feel like they are in between both parents, and whatever issues you have with the other parent, put that to the side and work together to try to do what is in the best interest of your child. One, it'll save legal fees because we won't have to be with the other parent on your behalf, but most importantly, it's best for your child. Just to know, to have for you all to have a good co-parenting relationship between the two parents. So if a non-custodial parent or the parent who the child doesn't live with is entitled to weekend possession on the third week, which millions of families here in Texas are dealing with, that is superseded by Christmas possession time. And because this is an odd number year, the custodial parent is entitled to have the child for Christmas. And that Christmas possession time supersedes the weekend possession time by the non-custodial parent. I hope that's clear.
Yeah.
So
let's flesh it out. All right. So the non-custodial parent A, is entitled to the child this week, 1st, 3rd, 5th, and this is the third weekend. Not this week, but this weekend, right? Yeah. And it just so happens, though, that this is also the week that school ends for Christmas, right? Christmas is a week from today, but yesterday school ended. And so are you saying that Christmas possession started yesterday?
Yes, it did. It did.
And so go ahead.
And so parent B, who is entitled to that Christmas possession, is entitled to have the child with him or her over the rights of parent A, who is typically entitled to have the child for the third weekend of the month. And that is spelled out in Texas law, in the Texas Family Code, under Chapter 153. And we get so many questions about, well, I'm entitled to have my child for the Christmas break once school lets out, but the other parent is entitled to weekend possession for the third weekend. Who is the child supposed to be with? Under the law, the parent who has Christmas time possession, the child is supposed to be with that parent. And typically what happens is that parent can have the child from the time that school lets out until December 28th. And then from December 28th until the day before school resumes, the non-custodial parent or the other parent has possession of the child. So Texas kind of splits the baby. One parent will have the child during for Christmas for the first part of the Christmas break, and then the second parent will have the child for the second half of the Christmas vacation time. And then the next year it flips. So then the next year, the non-custodial parent will have the child for Christmas, and then the custodial parent will have the child for the second half of Christmas. So Texas likes to split it up.
Right. So, and it alternates even years, odd numbered years, even numbered years, odd numbered years. So this is 2021. This is an odd numbered year. So the parent, and I want to make sure folks understand this, the parent who has the child for Christmas break on the odd numbered year, that parent's possession and access rights supersedes the non-custodial parent's third weekend rights. And again, that is because someone may say, well, why is that when Christmas when Christmas is not until a week from now? Because the law says that that odd-numbered parent's Christmas rights begins the moment school lets out, the week that school lets out until Christmas, throughout Christmas, basically. Did I say that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Is it clear? I don't want to be confusing.
Yeah, I think it was very clear.
Okay.
And one thing we should point out too is if a parent is entitled to have the child for Christmas, then the other parent would have been entitled to have the child for Thanksgiving. So it flips, it alternates with Thanksgiving and Christmas as well. So if the non-custodial parent was entitled to have the child for Thanksgiving, then the parent who the child lives with is entitled to have the child for Christmas.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You see?
Mm-hmm. 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 So school today is Saturday.
Next year it flips.
So today is Saturday. School ended yesterday for Christmas for a lot of school districts. So parent B, who gets the child for Christmas on the odd numbered year, is entitled to pick the child up from school and have that child from now until the 28th, right?
Until the 28th.
Until the 28th. And then the other parent is entitled to get the child at that point. So, again, we had calls this week. The other parent is telling me that it's my time to get the child, and I know I'm supposed to get the child on the third weekend. And we had to explain to several parents, nope, Christmas supersedes that third weekend possession under a standard possession order.
Yep. Yeah. And what is important to note as well is that the parents can come to an agreement too. So typically in most standard possession orders, the parents can agree to, you know what, I'll just have the child, I'll let you have the child for your weekend, and I'll get the child on Monday, and then you can get the child on Thursday, whatever agreement the parents can come to. So that's why we started this video with put your child first, because even though that is what is ordered in the standard possession order, there's always language as well to where if the parents mutually agree to a different schedule, then that can go into effect as well. So we encourage our clients, just try to work with the other parent as much as possible. Because when parents have a good relationship and can co-parent, that is in the best interest of your child.
Yep.
But that leads us into another topic we wanted to talk about, which is, well, what if you don't have a good co-parenting relationship with the other parent? And what if that other parent stops or tries to prohibit you from exercising your possession rights to your child? What do you do then? And unfortunately, this is something that we see a lot with our family law cases. Well, one parent will refuse to bring the child back at the drop-off or pickup exchange location. Well, one parent will text the other parent, hey, I'm keeping the child for a couple of extra days in violation of the possession order. What can that other parent do if that happens? Well, you can ask the court to hold that other parent in contempt. If there's an order, a standard possession order that has been signed, or a temporary order that has been signed by a judge, you can go to court and tell the judge, parent B is violating this order that you rendered. Can you hold this person in contempt for disobeying the order? And that happens a lot in these cases as well. And if a person is held in contempt here in Texas, there are various punishments that comes with that. The parent A can be ordered to pay fines. There's even a provision of criminal contempt where a judge can order parent A even to jail for violating the order.
And
so
that
it's very important.
And that is a felony charge as well. Someone can be charged with a felony for interfering with the other parent's custody.
Yes. So it is. There are provisions under the law that protects parents when another parent is violating an order. You can also go to the court and file something what we call a writ of habeas corpus, which is where you're asking the court to order that the parent bring the child to the court, or a constable or sheriff will go out and actually physically get the child and bring the child to court as well.
Well,
we filed those a lot.
Let me say this. All right, let's back up just a second. So those are things that can be done, sort of after the fact. When parent A goes to parent B's house and parent B says, "Nope, I'm not giving up the child. Okay, get away from here." What can parent, or what should parent A do in that particular moment? Like you said, there are lots of things that we can do, in front of the judge and get it in court and so forth. But what should that parent do right in that moment?
Typically call the police and try to get a record of parent A interfering with parent B's possession time. A lot of police officers, when they come out, though, they would give the standard answer that this is a civil matter.
Yep.
We can't do anything to enforce a civil order. But however, there would have been a record of parent A denying parent B access to the child, and that record could potentially be used in court. When we go in front of the judge to let the judge know about the violation.
And also, before calling the police, I would also say that parent A should stay calm, try and de-escalate the matter, unless parent A believes the child's in some sort of danger. Then that's a whole different ballgame. All bets off now. But, the best course of action, call the police, de-escalate the matter. As you said earlier, Chloe, see if it can be worked out. Also call your attorney, see what, the court order says, if you can reach your attorney. We try to be accessible to our clients, especially in situations like that. We do have a life ourselves, and oftentimes these things occur after hours or during the weekend. So we want to be able to spend time with our families during those times. However, if an emergency like that arises, something urgent like that, yes, we want our clients to reach out to us so that we can try and help, again, de-escalate the matter, mitigate the matter, or escalate the matter if it deems necessary. And it's the reason why we're saying, first and foremost, to put the child first. And because it's just not good for the child to see the parents in all this turmoil. All the time. And by the way, Gwen Pigeon said, "Thanks for your discussion." And then she said, off topic, I think she's referring to you, how professional, feminine, strong, and lovely you look today. In fact, I know she's talking about you. I love you. I love your new hairdo. So,
thank you, Gwen. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that comment.
But yes, there are things that can be done. There are things that can be done. Go ahead, Chloe.
I will also say keep a log. If the other parent has a pattern of denying you access to your child, keep a log of that. Keep a very detailed journal of the date and time when the denial occurred, what occurred, any text messages or any phone calls that were exchanged. Keep that log so that you can give it over to your attorney and present all of the times where you were denied access to your child to the judge, so that there is also some physical proof as well. Also, if you can safely videotape the incident and it won't escalate, any acrimony between you all, I will also suggest videotaping the denial as well, videotaping that you're in front of the home or wherever the exchange location is, and that you were denied visitation. Do whatever you can to get as much evidence of the denial as possible so that your attorney can present it in court before the judge. And that will help us when we are presenting, asking the court to hold the other parent in contempt of court or the writ of habeas corpus, all of the other legal avenues that we have to try to stop the behavior. That helps us when we have that evidence as well. So make sure you keep detailed logs of any denial to your child.
And Gwen made another comment that I think is key here. Essentially, she says that folks should, in this situation, should keep a copy of any court orders with them, especially when they're having dealings with the other party. I completely agree with that. That's a very good thought.
Yes.
If you got that
Yes.
court order with you, you may find a police officer who, may have a different feeling about it if you can show them that, according to this court order, the child should be with you and not with the other party. But like you said, Chloe, most often they don't want to get involved. But if you got a court order, that is definitely much better than you just saying, well, this is what the court said. You have no proof of it. So, yeah, I mean, keeping a court order and knowing where the language is that you're trying to reference, that's a very good idea. And yes, hello, Chief. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Gwen, for your comments.
Thank you both. We appreciate it. And that's such a great suggestion, keeping the court order on your person or in your vehicle, especially when you're going to have the exchange with the other parent with the child. Also, sending the court order to the school that the child attends so that the school knows what your rights are to the child as well, when you're able to pick up the child, etc. The school having a copy of the order is very important too. And it may be able to help resolve some conflicts between the parents if the school is on notice on this day I can pick the child up, on that day parent B picks the child up, etc.
Yes.
But our overarching point, that put your children first. Set aside whatever issues you have with this other person, but put the child first so the child doesn't have to see all the bickering and the strife, and it can have such a profound effect on children as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That is the overarching message that we want to get out today. Put the child first. Don't let the child get lost in the middle of all the back and forth between the parents. This is Christmas. If a child really needs to enjoy a time of the year, it is this time of the year where we celebrate the birth of our Savior. So please, now, from a lawyer's perspective and from a business perspective, look, this is when we make our money, because the more the parents are bickering and fighting and going back and forth, the more work we're doing and the more time we as attorneys are investing in the case. So it really, it really hurts the bottom line of our law firm when parents are working together and so forth. But and it's important, of course, that we make money and profit and get paid for our work and so forth. But at the same time, seeing the children oftentimes caught in the middle of these things, these custody fights, and a lot of times by, very good parents on both sides who believe that they're doing what they think is in the best interest of the child. But there are just those other cases where one parent is just bitter with the other parent and is just going to defy that other parent no matter what. And that's when, that's when the child is just, the child or children are really in a situation where they're harmed.
Yeah. And, if there is a lot of acrimony between you and the parent, and I mean the other parent, or if communication is not great, here in Texas, you can request that you all communicate through a third-party app or third-party communication, so that, there's not just text messages or anything else between you all, that there is something that is being monitored that both your attorneys will have access to as well. Sometimes that helps parents communicate better because they know that other people have access to these communications.
Yep.
So that may help, facilitate a better co-parenting relationship. But there's just so many issues related to custody that we can get into, and we're going to make so many more videos about custody, about divorce, about issues that affect children, because we're passionate about protecting children, helping children in these issues. And there's just so much knowledge that a lot of people don't have, especially African Americans, and African American fathers as well. We represent a lot of Black dads, a lot of Black fathers, and they're kind of special considerations that have to be taken
and
into
some
account.
white fathers we represent.
And yeah, we do. We
We
represent fathers of all races. Yeah.
But of course, most of our clients are African American, but we have a good number of white clients as well, Hispanic clients. We could care less what the people's race and ethnicities are.
Right.
So, Chloe, let's move into our next topic. In fact, our final topic, and that is on voting rights. And this is a topic that's really dear to my heart. Very, very dear to my heart. Currently in Congress, waiting for the Senate's approval, are two voting rights bill. One is the John Lewis Voters' Rights Bill. I may not be calling it exactly what it's called, but it's named in John Lewis's, the late Congressman John Lewis, named in his honor. And it is a bill that is so very important. It's been passed by the House. It needs to be passed in the U.S. Senate. And the purpose of this bill is to restore various sections of the Voting Rights Act that the U.S. Supreme Court has weakened, gutted, in fact. One case comes to mind, Shelby County versus Holder. I think it's a 2012-2013 case where the U.S. Supreme Court got rid of key parts of the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act has been around, for 50-something years and has protected the franchise for African Americans. But various, conservative wings and organizations, et cetera, have been trying to chip away at the Voting Rights Act for years. And they were able to get that case passed. They were able to get that case that chipped away at the Voting Rights Act. And then here recently, this earlier part of 2021, another case that dealt with another section of the Voting Rights Act further weakened the Voting Rights Act. And so it's left up to Congress now to re-strengthen, if that's a word, the Voting Rights Act, okay? Because there are states that are working overtime to disenfranchise African Americans with voter suppression laws. Texas being one, North Carolina being another, and other states. Georgia, Arizona. I mean, there are some 30, 40 different states that have these voter suppression laws that they have enacted or will enact, and they are able to do it precisely because the Voting Rights Act has been weakened. So the John Lewis Voters' Rights Bill, again, that may not be the exact name, but it is critical that this piece of legislation is passed. Now, of course, the problem is Joe Biden will sign it if it hits his desk. The problem is there are not enough Democrat senators. It's 50-50 right now, but two of the Democrat senators, to me, they are Republican senators who have infiltrated the Democrat Party. And by the way, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. All right, I'm neither one, but I am for racial and voting justice and social justice. I'm strongly for that. But I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I supported Joe Biden this last time. I supported Barack Obama both times. But I've voted the other way as well. But I stand for racial justice. I stand for social justice. And that's why I supported Joe Biden. The thing that's preventing him from getting this on his desk so that he can sign it, again, is the Senate is 50-50. And two of the Democrat senators, again, they're just, they seem to be infiltrators, Republican infiltrators of the Democrat Party, and as a result of that, the Republicans are able to filibuster and just hold up any votes on this very, very important piece of legislation. Very quickly, there is a sister bill that's also important regarding voting rights, and it is called the For the People Act. And its job is to undo a lot of the stuff that these GOP states have done. These voter suppression laws, this For the People Act will undo a lot of that, whereas the John Lewis bill will restore the Voting Rights Act, which will prevent the GOP states from doing all this voter suppression stuff in the first place. So we need both bills passed in Congress, and we need to pressure our Congress people, senators especially, to get this done. This is critical. The GOP, last comment, the GOP is essentially undermining democracy by doing this. And come 2022, if something is not done, they're going to sweep everything and turn back a whole lot more civil rights, social justice rights, voting rights, etc. That's what concerns me.
Yeah. I think I know the two senators you're referring to, Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin.
Exactly.
Their names have been getting a lot of press lately for them really messing up a lot of Biden's agenda, but more importantly, this Voting Rights Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and For the People Act, which is so important. And I really don't have a lot of hope in Congress, honestly, Dad. Just the way that those two senators and others have behaved these past few months and past couple of years. I hope it passes the Senate because we need it. Our ancestors fought so hard just to be able to vote. So many people gave up their lives, their livelihood, so that we could participate in this democracy. What the founding fathers, wanted to create this ideal country and society. And for so long, so many people were not able to do it. And the fact that we're going back in time to where a lot of people will not have access or the accessibility to vote is angering. But I don't have a lot of faith in this Congress and Senate, in the Senate at all. I hope it gets passed. I really do. What are your feelings about the likelihood of the Senate passing it?
I'm pessimistic as well. Joe Manchin, even if Joe Manchin and Sinema were to change their minds, it could be passed then, because then the Democrats could change the filibuster rule with Kamala Harris casting the tie-breaking vote. If those two senators got on board, they could at least tweak the filibuster rule to get the voting rights bills passed. But they have heretofore shown no interest in altering the filibuster rules. So for that reason, I too am pessimistic. And
I just saw
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just saw today Sinema's office put out a statement that she is not going to support getting rid of the filibuster. I think that statement just went out today. It was reported, I think, by CNN.
But they don't have to get rid of the filibuster. They can just tweak it to allow votes on these critical pieces of legislation. It's a red herring for her to say that she is not in support of getting rid of the filibuster rule. I have some concerns with getting rid of the filibuster, because if the other side has control, there's nothing to stop them if you completely gut the filibuster, right? From doing all the crazy stuff that they want to do. Gwen made a comment. She says, I'm a registered Republican since 1978. After the last experiment installation of Donald John Trump, I presume that's who she's referring to, I would never vote for anyone in the party ever again. So she is in the minority in the Republican Party, because most Republicans are standing with Donald John Trump and fully support him. But I'm glad to hear that Gwen has, in my opinion, seen the light. Many more Republicans need to see the light as well.
I agree. And speaking of the senators we were talking about before, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, in my opinion, you can tell that Manchin and Sinema are getting under the Biden administration's skin. I don't know if you've seen the story, Dad, but Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, she went on Charlemagne the God's. She had an interview with him, and to paraphrase his question, he asked her, "Who is running the administration? Is it President Biden or is it Joe Manchin?" And she was not happy with that question at all. She went off on him, honestly.
Oh, really? Was this recent?
She went off on him. Yeah, I think it just happened yesterday, I believe.
Wow.
And so you can tell that those two senators are really getting under the Biden administration's skin just by the reaction of Vice President Harris.
I mean, was Charlemagne suggesting or inferring that Manchin and Sinema were kind of more in control of things than Joe Biden? Is that where he was?
I think that was the inference, or that's the way she took it. Yeah.
Well,
so,
they are stopping the Biden administration's agenda for the most part.
Yeah, the Build Back Better. I read that's basically probably is not going to get passed.
Certainly not now, and
we'll see.
And maybe never. I don't know. I mean, because of those two senators, and both of them are getting donations from wealthy donors and corporations. You know, that's the frustrating thing about American politics. In fact, I saw somebody down here say that let me see, and I completely agree with this. Someone said something about changing the election laws. I completely agree with that. Campaign finance laws need to be changed. I totally agree with that. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean they need to be changed, and it's the reason why these senators oftentimes are being controlled by big money, big business, corporations. And so, you know, you got Manchin and Sinema both who get these tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from, you know, these folks. And in Joe Manchin's case, look, we're from the East Coast originally. We know the poverty that is in West Virginia. We know a lot of his constituents could use a whole lot of the things that are in Joe Biden's Build Back Better, and Arizonians as well. But I mean, these folks are in the pockets of those big money interests. All right. Well, I don't.
And speaking of Joe Biden,
Go ahead.
I don't hear enough of him putting pressure on the senators, going back to the Voting Rights Acts we were talking about earlier, putting pressure on senators to even get it passed. And we know that the African American community were a large reason why Joe Biden was elected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. In that regard, I'm disappointed with Biden on a lot of regards, but particularly in that one. I don't hear anyone from his administration, him himself, or anyone else, you know, getting out in the media and trying to get attention to the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the For the People Act. So to put pressure on the Senate to even get it passed. So I wish that they would do more of that.
Well, you know, I think that pressure has to first and foremost come from us. Okay, we have to pressure Biden. If we don't pressure, if we don't show energy, if we don't pressure him, I think about Lyndon Johnson. Okay, and how the civil rights leaders of that day wanted some legislation, the civil rights bill, voting rights bill, speaking of the voting rights, Fair Housing Act, different civil rights legislation to get enacted. And it's reported that Lyndon Johnson said, okay, well, now go make me do it. Okay, they met with him, and he said, now go make me do it. In other words, get out there and put the pressure on me to make it happen. I mean, that's a politician. That's the way they think. So yeah. Biden is so long as we don't pressure him, then he's not going to take that seriously. But what he's going to find out, I believe, is if he doesn't get these two things signed, he could very well be a one-term president. And I'm not talking about Kamala Harris winning either. I mean, these folks have put the fix in certain key battleground states, and if these bills are not passed, 2022 will be a bloodbath in terms of the GOP taking back at least the House, maybe even the Senate, and certainly taking the White House and probably having control of everything, maybe even Donald Trump back in office in 2024 if they don't take this seriously and get these bills passed.
Period.
Period.
I hope Biden's people are listening or this clip gets shown to them, because you all need to take this seriously. if you don't want that to happen.
We got, here, my sweetheart. She says Joe Madison, the Sirius radio host, said is on a hunger strike until voting rights get passed. And Dr. Bernice King, shout out to Dr. Bernice King, I love her, is asking people to pressure the Senate to pass voting rights in commemoration of Dr. King holiday. Oh, well, Dr. Bernice King, if she just really, if whatever she says do, I'm going to help and do everything I can to get it done. And I hadn't heard about this, but the fact that she's saying in commemoration of Dr. King's holiday, for us to put pressure on the Senate to get this thing passed, I'm down. I'm with that. I'm all a part of that. I will do everything I can to see that happens. So, Chloe, we need to make this a big part of our voice and what we're doing to support Dr. King, Dr. Bernice King, in this effort here of doing this in honor of her father, the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mom. I'm going to start putting pressure on my social media and on this platform and our other videos, bring awareness to it so that we can try to get this Voting Rights Act passed. I love what Dr. King is doing, Bernice King, as well as Stacey Abrams. What she did in
Shout
Georgia
out to
was,
Stacey
in my
Abrams.
opinion, nothing short of amazing.
Yes.
And I'm glad that she's running for governor again. I think she has a really, really good chance and good shot. And I love the focus that she's bringing to voting and getting people registered to vote.
And there's another sister who is really doing a bang up job. In fact, I got to shout out you sisters because you all are out there. Y'all are making some things happen. You all are carrying the social justice banner right now in many ways. You know, you got Sheila Jackson Lee, you know, sponsoring all kinds of bills and her colleagues in Congress, one of which is the reparations bill. You got others. I can't name all of them. Jasmine Crockett, who is running for the U.S. House here from Texas, a friend of ours. We shout her out and hope that she wins. And on a local level here, a good friend of ours, Vonda Bailey Shaw, is running for judgeship here in Dallas County. We certainly, in fact, we're going to be having her on the show here in the next couple of weeks, get through Christmas. But we want to have her on the show here and introduce her to our audience. And Jasmine Crockett. So Jasmine, if you're hearing this, we want you up here so we can introduce you to our audience and help you get up there to DC to be our sister in DC.
Yes, Black women, we're doing big things.
Big things.
We are doing it big.
Yes. All right, so I guess this is the tail end of everything regarding our topics today. I enjoyed it a whole lot, Chloe. We're going to go out with a little Christmas music in the background.
Yes.
This is a cut by Jonathan Butler. Have yourself a Merry, Merry Christmas. And that's what we are saying to our audience. Have yourself a Merry, Merry Christmas. If we don't speak to you again, stay safe. Hug and kiss your loved ones. Enjoy yourself. Let me say it, if you're not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you are vaccinated, please get boosted. Wear your mask and do everything you can to stay safe. We can beat this thing, from what I'm understanding, if all of us, did what is suggested. But that's all I have to say, Chloe. Any parting words?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. I pray that you all have many blessings as we go into the new year, into 2022. Thank you for all of the comments, all of the commentators, for your insight and your opinions today. Shout out to Gwen and everyone else who commented. We really appreciate the comments and like to interact with people. So again, we hope and pray that you all have a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you all in the next video. Again, we are the Defiant Lawyers, Chloe Corbett, aka the Duchess of Justice, Augustus Corbett, aka the Minister of Justice, and we will be back to analyze trending politics, policies, personalities, and pop culture.
And tell them when we're typically on, Chloe.
We're typically on twice a week, either Wednesday and or Thursday of the week, and every Saturday of the week. So you can find our videos Wednesday and or Thursday and every Saturday as well.
Very good. You all have a Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Through the years we've always been together. If the fates align,